Breaking news, the R-vee market has imploded. Dealers are slashing prices so deep it's shocking. $120,000 units now sit with $25,000 clearance tags, and nobody's buying. Banks are choking off credit, factories are cutting shifts, and auction lots are flooded with unsold rigs. But hidden in this chaos are signs of who might survive and who's about to disappear. Stay with me, because this story changes how every buyer should think about R-vees in 2025, from luxury to liquidation. Once priced at a staggering $120,000, a Keystone, Montana fifth wheel just crossed the auction block in Texas for a mere $24,900. The VIN, the date stamp, the hammer price, every detail checks out. On screen, the same unit that cost more than some homes now sits under a faded pop-up tent with a clearance tag hanging off the awning. Dealers who spent the pandemic bragging about 6-month wait lists are now quietly calling past customers, offering buyouts, trade-ins, anything to keep the floor plan loans from eating their margins. This isn't rumor. It's the market finally catching up to its own exaggeration. Auction receipts from Indiana, Florida, and Arizona all show premium rigs falling 70% or more from their peak. Once exclusive models are stacked nose to tail, waiting for bids that never come. The tone on dealer forums has shifted from excitement to survival. What used to be a brag, sold before delivery, is now a warning sign. The easy money has evaporated, the lots are overflowing, and the people who thought these prices could last are learning a brutal lesson. But this isn't a sale, it's survival. And here's how the bubble was built, the pandemic bubble. It started 4 years ago, when highways turned into escape routes. Lockdowns and cabin fever collided with stimulus checks, and every brand that could bolt a bed to a frame called it freedom. More than 600,000 rigs rolled out of factories in 2021. Shattering every production record in history. Manufacturers built night shifts, dealers took deposits months in advance, social feeds turned every campsite into an advertisement for mobility and control. The math never worked. Demand wasn't organic, it was borrowed from the future. Remote work and government cash gave families a sense of security that faded the moment flights resumed and gas prices climbed. Builders kept cranking units long after the rush ended. To keep schedules alive, they cut corners. Thinner walls, cheaper hardware, less quality control. Buyers didn't notice at first, but they're noticing now. The oversupply built quietly, one delivery at a time, until storage yards overflowed with unsold inventory. By the time reality returned, the factories were still in full swing, and the used market had no room left to breathe. When the orders stopped, production didn't, and that's where the cracks started. If you've seen price drops like these at your local dealers, hit like and drop a comment below. Let's see which states are falling fastest before the next wave hits. The data cliff. Numbers don't care about optimism. According to the industry's own trade group, total shipments collapsed from more than 600,000 units in 2021 to roughly 333,000 by 2024. That's nearly half the market gone in 3 years. Black Book's used value index shows prices down 25% from the pandemic peak, erasing billions in paper value. Corporate filings tell the same story. Winnebago reported profits sliced in half. Thor Industries issued back-to-back production cuts, and supplier networks from Indiana to Michigan began posting layoffs. Even rental fleets that once absorbed excess stock have stopped buying, citing saturated demand and slower bookings. In graphs and ledgers, the boom looks like a sheer drop, a cliff where confidence fell straight through. Dealers are calling it inventory fatigue. Buyers call it common sense. The market has too many rigs, not enough qualified borrowers, and no quick way to rebalance. It's not a slump tied to weather or travel seasons. It's a structural reset that's rewriting how these machines are priced. The bubble didn't deflate, it burst in silence. So if the numbers are this bad, why are lots still overflowing? The financing chokehold. The answer sits inside every loan quote. 2 years ago, financing an R-vee meant interest around 4%. Now credit unions list rates between 8 and 10, and that changes everything. A $50,000 used rig stretched across 10 years at those rates means payments north of $1,200 a month. That's more than a mortgage in many towns. Dealers whisper about potential buyers walking after seeing the math. Even qualified applicants are getting smaller approvals or being asked for larger down payments. The lending desks that once pushed pre-approvals now issue denials before lunch. Without easy credit, inventory can't move. Each unsold rig becomes another month of interest for the dealer, another mark of desperation when the bank calls about floor plan debt. And those who already bought are feeling it too. Refinancing is nearly impossible when depreciation outpaces value. Owners who financed in 2021 owe double what their units would fetch today. The so-called freedom vehicle has turned into a rolling reminder of high-interest regret. The industry once sold mobility. Now it sells patience and pain. When buyers can't borrow, dealers can't breathe. Next comes the panic, lot gridlock. Across the Midwest, rows of white fiberglass shimmer under the sun like a parking lot frozen in time. Every space between the light poles holds a rig waiting for a buyer who never arrived. Dealers once proud of limited allocation. Signs now hide balance sheets soaked in red ink. The same credit lines that let them stock hundreds of units have turned into monthly anchors. Each unsold fifth wheel costs hundreds in interest, insurance, and upkeep before the keys even turn. Multiply that by a few hundred units, and a single dealership can bleed tens of thousands a month just keeping the lights on. A leaked internal memo labeled aged stock shows one national retailer paying over $300,000 a quarter just to carry idle inventory. That's why the discounts look desperate, because they are. Slashing prices below invoice isn't a gimmick, it's survival. Even floor managers admit that every markdown buys time, not profit. Drive past the backlots, and you'll see new rigs parked in overflow fields, covered with plastic wrap to shield them from hail. The boom built too many, too fast. And now the bills are due, but their pain is your proof. Look what it's doing to used prices. Trade-in freefall. At auctions from Texas to Pennsylvania, used rigs once considered safe investments are now struggling to draw bids. A fifth wheel that sold for $80,000 in 2021 just received a trade offer of $35,000. The owner still owes $50,000. That gap, $15,000 underwater, is why so many listings sit untouched. Dealers call it equity shock, the point when an owner realizes they'd have to pay cash just to sell. Online forums tell the same story. One post shows a dealer refusing any trades newer than 2020 because the market moves too fast to price. Others admit they've stopped accepting used stock entirely, afraid it will sit for months and sink in value before selling. Even repossession lots are backing up, with tow companies parked outside waiting for storage space. The used side was supposed to stabilize the fall, but it's accelerating it instead. As prices collapse, the trade chain that feeds new sales breaks completely. Without trade-ins, fewer buyers can upgrade. Without upgrades, dealers drown in inventory, and when dealers stop ordering, the factories fall silent. When owners stop trading, factories start shutting. Factories flinch. In northern Indiana, the air around Elkhart's industrial park carries an unfamiliar sound, that of silence. The hammering of nail guns and the buzz of saws have faded as production lines pause. Winnebago's last quarterly report showed sales down more than 50% compared with last year. Thor Industries followed with a similar cut, and a warning that output would shrink again before spring. For a region where nearly half the workforce depends on R-vee assembly, every slowdown hits twice. Local diners shorten hours, hardware suppliers cut staff, paychecks shrink, and the ripple spreads through entire towns. A cabinet shop owner described it bluntly: when the plant coughs, the county catches a cold. The same workers who built the boom are now parking outside unemployment offices, remembering 2008, and wondering if history just repeated itself. Even suppliers that survived previous recessions are pulling back. Axle manufacturers, foam producers, and electronics vendors report canceled orders and temporary shutdowns that may not restart. Economists call it a correction. The locals call it a collapse. The chain reaction doesn't stop at the factory gate. It moves to the balance sheets on Wall Street. And if the assembly lines are quiet, Wall Street's about to admit why. Earnings tell the truth. Public filings don't use adjectives, they use numbers, and the numbers confirm what the lots already show. Thor Industries' net income dropped by more than half over the last fiscal year. Winnebago's revenue slipped nearly 40%, and its profit margin fell to levels not seen since the Great Recession. Executives cite market normalization and inventory adjustments, but the footnotes tell the real story. Collapsing demand, rising interest costs, and canceled dealer orders. Investor calls have turned defensive. Analysts ask about floor plan exposure, the polite term for loans that may never be recovered. CEOs insist the downturn is temporary, but even they admit that retail orders are tracking far below expectations. The same quarterly slides once used to celebrate growth now read like warnings to lenders. Stock prices mirror the fatigue. Shares that soared during the lockdown boom have given back nearly all their gains. Insider sales, executives quietly cashing out, signal how long they expect the pain to last. The market may pretend this is cyclical, but earnings tell the truth. The collapse is baked in. The next phase won't be about profits. It will be about survival. Now that we've seen their books, let's talk about your household budget. Household freeze. Grocery bills, insurance premiums, and utility costs have climbed faster than most paychecks in the last 2 years. The same families who once daydreamed about cross-country trips now track the cost of eggs and gas instead of mileage. Inflation turned disposable income into a disappearing act. Wages rose by roughly 4%, but living costs jumped by more than twice that, leaving almost nothing for recreation loans or fuel tanks. Every payment feels heavier. A retired couple in Ohio summed it up. The camper payment used to be our freedom. Now it's our reminder. They aren't alone. Banks report that discretionary loan applications, boats, R-vees, and motorcycles have fallen nearly 50% since the pandemic peak. Even those who can technically afford the note hesitate. Knowing repairs, insurance, and storage add hundreds more a month, the fun number has become a fear number. Dealers see it firsthand. Foot traffic on sales floors has dropped to half of what it was 2 years ago, and those who do walk in spend more time talking about prices than travel plans. When the cost of groceries outruns wage growth, the open road becomes a luxury. When families pause purchases, those still paying get trapped. Trapped owners. Across the country, thousands of owners now owe more than their rigs are worth. A man in Arizona financed an $85,000 fifth wheel during the boom. Today, the same model sells for barely $38,000, yet his loan balance sits above $70,000. Refinancing is impossible because the collateral, the rig, collapsed faster than the payment schedule. The bank won't lower the rate, and the resale market won't cover the debt. He calls it owning a ghost. Online, stories like his multiply. Families who stretched budgets to chase the pandemic dream now face the choice of paying double or walking away. Repossession lots in Texas and Indiana have doubled in size, filled with gleaming units that still smell new. Some owners hide their rigs behind barns to avoid collection. Others try to rent them out, only to find the short-term market equally flooded. This isn't reckless spending, it's structural mismatch. Loan terms built for a 10-year horizon don't survive a 3-year crash. The value is gone, but the interest keeps coming. Each payment buys nothing but time before the next statement. Debt that once promised adventure now drags like an anchor. But for every seller hurting, there's a cash buyer waiting. Subscribe now and stay ahead of the curve. The next report exposes which dealers are quietly liquidating rigs this month, so you'll know where the real bottom hits first. Cash opportunists. While most households pull back, a quieter group is circling the lots with calculators instead of cameras. They watched the boom from the sidelines and kept their savings intact. Now they're hunting deals under $30,000, paying cash and skipping banks entirely. Their logic is simple: buy low, maintain well, and stay debt-free. Many focus on pre-2020 rigs built before the production rush diluted quality. They look for solid cabinetry, clean undercarriages, and paperwork that proves proper maintenance. One retired mechanic in Wisconsin walked away with a 2-year-old travel trailer for less than half of its original sticker. He checked the roof seals, tire dates, and frame welds himself, then replaced cheap fittings with hardware-grade parts. His goal wasn't luxury, it was longevity. These buyers know the difference between a real bargain and a future repair bill. Dealers quietly prefer them too, because cash clears inventory without financing headaches. Each handshake is a small correction in a market drowning in paper loans. Still, the smart money knows timing matters. Storage costs, insurance, and the slow drip of depreciation never stop. They buy carefully, aware that even good deals can rot in bad climates. Yet not. Every town gets the same deals. Watch what's happening in Indiana. Ripple towns. In northern Indiana, the birthplace of American R-vee manufacturing, the downturn echoes through neighborhoods and storefronts. Parking lots, once packed with worker trucks, now sit half empty. The diner across from the main plant closed on Mondays to save payroll. Hardware stores report fewer orders for screws and sealant, and local charities say requests for food assistance have doubled. Nearly half of Elkhart County's workforce depends on the R-vee industry, so when production slows, every register rings quieter. Even suppliers that don't build rigs feel the chill. Upholstery shops, cabinetry makers, and insulation vendors have cut hours or closed entirely. When the orders stop, it's not just the factory, one small business owner said. It's the schools, the gas stations, the Little League sponsors, everything. The county has seen this before, back in 2008. But this slide feels deeper because the boom that came before it was built on hype, not housing equity. Town officials remain publicly hopeful, pointing to new investments and diversification projects. But behind the optimism lies fatigue. Every family here knows someone who's been laid off or had hours cut. The recovery will start in these streets, not on spreadsheets, but a few green shoots are appearing. Here's how to read them. Reset signals. The numbers finally show a flicker of stability. Dealer inventory that ballooned beyond 200 days of supply last winter has started to shrink toward 130. It is not balance yet, but it is movement. Several manufacturers have cut model counts by nearly a third, trimming the flashy floor plans that never sold and focusing on a few dependable series that can actually move. The excess color options, gadget packages, and oversized layouts are quietly disappearing from brochures. Dealers are also rethinking orders. Instead of gambling on bulk purchases, they're spacing deliveries and letting old stock clear before new rigs arrive. That discipline means fewer panic discounts and a more honest sticker price. The charts show it, a slow flattening of the line that once dropped like a ski slope. It does not mean the market has healed, but the bleeding is slowing. When floor plan interest costs stop rising and lot footage starts opening, confidence begins to creep back into the conversation. These early tremors aren't a rebound. They're the first signs of exhaustion. The market has fallen so far that even small stability feels like progress. When those lines flatten, we start the bottom watch. Bottom watch. Every downturn hits a point where sellers can't drop further and still stay alive. That's the true bottom. And there are 3 clear ways to spot it. First, watch inventory days. When lots carry less than 90 days of stock, it means units are finally moving faster than they will arrive. Second, check the Black Book Used Value Index. When month-to-month declines stall for at least 2 cycles, depreciation has stopped accelerating. Third, pay attention to spring traffic that actually lasts through summer. If families are visiting dealerships beyond the first warm weekend, that's organic demand, not stimulus nostalgia. Recent auction data already hints at the shift. Clearance rates ticked up 5 points in the last quarter, and late-model towables are moving a little faster. The difference between panic and patience is narrowing. Dealers who survive until next season might start breathing again, but the gains will be modest, not explosive. Prices will stabilize long before they rise. This is the moment when emotion costs money. Chasing an early rebound or waiting forever can both burn the wallet. Knowing when numbers level off is the only real signal worth trusting. So when the dust settles, which brands still stand? Survivor Playbook. Some names have endured because they never chased the frenzy. Keystone's Cougar, Jayco's J-Flight, and Coachman's Catalina still sell because they stuck to the basics. Proven frames, accessible parts, and simple systems that anyone with a wrench can service. Their builders avoided heavy debt and limited production during the mania. Now that restraint looks wise. These models hold value better because they can be repaired easily and don't rely on proprietary electronics. Dealer reports show that units built before 2020 with aluminum framing and manual slide mechanisms keep the highest resale percentages. Owner forums back it up. Fewer warranty claims, cleaner maintenance records, and straightforward construction. Buyers recognize reliability over novelty. Companies that tried to reinvent everything with touchscreen panels and plastic cabinetry are the ones drowning in returns. The lesson is clear. Survival isn't about marketing. It's about mechanical honesty. When the next production cycle begins, the manufacturers that emphasized structure over style will anchor the recovery. They may not lead headlines, but they'll rebuild trust one sale at a time. And once you know what survives, here's how to use that timing to your advantage. The next wave. Walk through any dealership yard today and the contrast tells the story. A year ago, window stickers screamed 120,000. Now, the same rigs whisper 25,000 and still wait for attention. That gap is the reset in plain sight. The decision now isn't whether the market crashed, it's how to act inside the fallout. If you have stable income, space to store, and cash ready, the next 6 months offer opportunities that will not return once supply normalizes. But patience still pays. Watch interest rates and freight costs. When both ease at the same time, that's the sweet spot for negotiation. Never rush because a salesman says, "End of quarter." Real value reveals itself when desperation runs out. To make it simple, the updated crash value list highlights real examples: 2021 Montanas, 2019 Catalinas, and similar rigs verified at 20 to 30 cents on the dollar. The matching buyer checklist shows how to confirm condition before signing anything. Use them as armor, not bait. This crash has rewritten the playbook, but it has also leveled the field. Stay steady, check every number, and protect your money. Next time, we uncover what happens when dealers run out of credit. If this video helped you understand what's really going on, hit like, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe for more updates as the story unfolds.